విధానంలో డాక్టర్ బిఆర్ అంబేద్కర్ ఓపెన్ యూనివర్సిటీ దేశంలోనే మొట్టమొదటి సార్వత్రిక విశ్వవిద్యాలయం. దాదాపు 2.5 దశాబ్దాలుగా దూర విద్యా విధానం ద్వారా కంప్యూటర్ కోర్సును అనుసంధానం చేస్తూ BA, B.Com, B.Sc డిగ్రీ కోర్సులను అందిస్తోంది. పోస్ట్ గ్రాడ్యుయేషన్ స్థాయి, డిగ్రీ, డిప్లొమా స్థాయి కోర్సులను ఔత్సాహికులైన విద్యార్థులకు అందిస్తోంది. డెవలప్మెంట్ స్టడీస్లో సెంటర్ ఫర్ ఎకనామిక్స్ అండ్ సోషల్ స్టడీస్ ద్వారా M.Phil, PhDతో పాటు విశ్వవిద్యాలయమే స్వయంగా దూర విద్యా విధాన అంశంపైన PhD వంటి పరిశోధన కోర్సులు ప్రవేశపెట్టింది. రాష్ట్ర వ్యాప్తంగా సుమారు 4.5 లక్షల మంది విద్యార్థులు ఈ విశ్వవిద్యాలయం నుంచి ఉన్నత విద్యావకాశాలు పొందుతున్నారు. డాక్టర్ బిఆర్ అంబేద్కర్ సార్వత్రిక విశ్వవిద్యాలయం స్థానికంగా స్వయం బోధన పద్ధతిలో ముద్రణ రూపంలో రూపొందించిన కోర్స్ మెటీరియల్ అందిస్తోంది. కోర్స్ మెటీరియల్ అధ్యయనానికి సహకరించే విధంగా రేడియో, టెలివిజన్ పాఠ్యాంశాల ఆధారంగా కార్యక్రమాలు ప్రసారం చేస్తోంది. అధ్యయన కేంద్రాల ద్వారా ఏర్పాటు చేసే సలహా సంసర్గ తరగతులు, సైన్స్ ప్రాక్టికల్ సౌకర్యాలు విద్యార్థులకు స్వయం అధ్యయనానికి ఒక చక్కటి అవకాశం. ఇవి విద్యార్థి సమీపంలో ఉండే అధ్యయన కేంద్రం నుంచే పొందొచ్చు.
Good afternoon everyone. On behalf of Ambedkar Open University, I welcome you all to this session. The topic for discussion is causes of stress and stress management. The session is for 1 hour and it is especially designed for M.Sc students who are pursuing from Ambedkar Open University with psychology degree. And it is of course for all the viewers because the topic is of interest to everyone. In this 1 hour session, first 30 to 40 minutes we will have discussion on the topic with the experts and followed by the teleconference. So, you can ring up online. The numbers for the questions are 040-270-31432, 040-270-31433. Kindly ask the questions pertaining only to the topic and that too after the informative session, right. As you all know, stress is very much in vogue. I was very particular in selecting this topic because the life in 21st century is full of complexes. Everyone speaks about stress and everyone says that we are under stress. The question is why? We are never designed to live in this complex and more demanding societies. Some years back also there was stress, but now our perceptions are differing. It is not that we do not have stress today, or it is not that we do not have stress, we did not have stress yesterday, but the change in the attitude, the change in the lifestyle is bringing about lots of pressure on us. Suppose if you are a student, you have lots of academic tensions, stress, expectations, demands, pressure, so and so forth. Suppose if you are an employee, in your workplace you have to work with computers, learn new versions of technology, then work with so many people, attend to so many tasks, attend to so many persons, sometimes with or without any support or training, and life is again changing. There are too many uncertainties because the jobs are not for life. Nowadays the jobs are mostly on contract basis, and when these uncertainties pile up, the pressure increases, and when this pressure increases and it continues for a longer period, it develops into stress. A few years back or a few decades back, people used to live in such societies where the neighborhood were literally like family members. Now our lifestyle is changing. We are living in fragmented societies with lower social support, and which is an important stress buffer. So, we are deprived of that support now. And moreover, apart from all this, we are in a rat race. Literally, we are in a rat race because the urbanization is so fast and people do not have time for anything, and the social gatherings are also declining. Everyone has become too individual and self-supportive, and we have become too egocentric also. So, for all reasons, we need to have some coping mechanisms. So, though we know that this modern world and modern technology are creating too many complexes and too many demands on our psychological and physiological well-being, but still we prefer to live with it because of its own benefits. We can't run back to the Stone Age and we can't remove all the pressures from our life, but what we can do is learn certain coping strategies. What Hans Selye said is, stress, like Einstein's theory of relativity, is a scientific concept which has suffered a blessed mixed blessings with too little knowledge and too well known. The understanding is too little on it, but everyone speaks about stress. Friends, to clarify all our doubts and to give up, throw some light on this concept, we have here with us two eminent professors in the studios. Now, let me introduce them to you. First, on to my immediate right is Professor Madhu garu. So, Professor Madhu is from Department of Psychology. He has varied experience. He for 24 years he is in Department of Psychology, and he is a Senate member, and apart from it he is a chairperson for Institute of Yoga. And we have another professor, Professor Uday Kumar Reddy. So, Professor Uday Kumar Reddy worked in Marichanna Reddy HRD and right at present he is the Secretary and Director of International Institute of Stress Management. Sir, I welcome you both to this session. My first question is to Professor Uday Kumar. So, can I, if you permit, can I just pass the question to Professor Madhu according to seniority? Yeah. I would like to follow the protocol. Sir, there are too many myths about stress. People speak about stress as they like, but the concept is not really clear. So, will you please explain this?
Thank you very much. Let me first start by saying that rather than myths, we have different ways of trying to understand what stress is, trying to understand the meaning of stress. The initial attempts were trying to identify stimuli or events or people or situations which cause stress. So, this was the stressor oriented way of identifying or understanding stress. It could be an examination, it could be a death in the family, it could be a loss of job, it could be illness. Then they thought that this was not a complete way of understanding. They moved to the effect of stress, and they realized when people are undergoing stress, they experience changes in their body in terms of increased heart rate or problems of indigestion, or at times even severe effects. So, the response to any situation was also tried to use as a method of understanding stress. But presently they feel that it is a combination of these two. It's the response made by an organism which is inappropriate to the demand. The key words here is perceived demand. There is something out there, you look at it and you feel it is threatening, you feel it is negative, and you feel you do not have the resources to handle that situation. So, the concept has included not just the way an individual looks at an event, but whether he feels he or she is ready to face that event. This is the comprehensive way of understanding what stress is. And secondly, when people are trying to understand the nature of stress, they are always assessing their resources and they are always trying to check whether there is really a threat or not. Is it imaginary or is it real?
Professor Uday Kumar Reddy,
Yeah.
do you have something to supplement?
So, you did it well. So, finally, you can think this is nothing but a mismatch between the demand and other resources. It need not be the exact mismatch, it may be perceived mismatch.
Right.
I think that's the way, there is nothing much
That's
to
wonderful.
yeah.
So, usually like people say when our coping mechanisms are limited and the pressures are more from the environment, when there is no balance between these two.
Yeah.
So, one experiences the pressure which develops into stress if it is repeatedly happening. My second question is to Professor Uday Kumar Reddy. What do you think are the causes for stress?
Okay. Causes are basically innumerable. It is very difficult to name it X, Y, Z causes. But when you look at the intensity of the load, of the demand, the word one must remember, demands in technical word it is called stressors or demands. They may categorize it into external demands and internal demands. If it is external demand, instead of categorizing by name, you can categorize by intensity. Some severe demands, where the effect is not for minutes, the effect may be for months to the extent of 1 year. That is what the very first measurement on stress made by Holmes and Rahe, what they came out with the social reconstruction rating scale. They wanted to quantify the cause of stress based on the events, and there are some other stresses. The intensity is for minutes to the extent of hours. You may call it as moderate causes. Basically, stress at work. The irritation may start either forenoon or afternoon. It may continue till you go back to the home. And last one, which are very mild in nature, where technically only neural aberrations will be there. It will be for seconds to the extent of minutes. Small communication gaps, irritations, little disturbance in expectations, and these are all comes under external causes. But as the definition, the comprehension increases, now we are looking at the internal causes, that is state of mind may act as a cause. People with a low self-esteem, they may create new causes where there are no demands at all, and also some of the physical status like health condition also act as a causative factor for stress response. Here you have to think from external, and also you have to look into the system like mind, that itself as act as a causative factor, and also physical status, and in between there are two things. One is emotional status and also neurological status. Basically, these are all the states helpful to measure it, but we cannot call it as a causative factor for stress. I think this is the way
it's a wonderful definition. It's a wonderful these causes you have given, sir. You have listed out many. As Professor Madhu, do you have anything to add to it?
Yeah, I would like to say that very often when you are trying to identify what is causing stress, it is either related to future, you want to do something and you do not know how to do it, or you are apprehensive about it, or it is related to the past. You have done something and you feel that you are not adequate, you have not done it properly. Very often it is a state of mind either for future or what happened in the past. So, if you are able to see whether the individual has the necessary resources to live with what happened in the past and to be ready to what he is going to face in the future, you would find that he will be able to do well, identify the causes and cope with them.
And Professor, when we experience stress, we develop a wide variety of physical, psychological and behavioral symptoms. Can you please elaborate on it? This question is to both of you.
Now, as I said, right, stress affects your entire body.
Right.
There will be changes in your thinking, there will be changes in your feeling, there will be changes in your behavior, and there will be changes in your body, right. So, there is no system or there is nothing you can say that it is going to be a particular way of reacting. That is why they called it as a non-specific response. It is a non-specific response. Like for instance, if you are under stress, you find that your feelings are affected, you become more angry, you become more irritable, you become more anxious. And if your thoughts are affected, you start developing a tunnel vision, there will be lack of clarity in the way you think. There can also be effects in your behavior. You can become clumsy, make a lot of mistakes, you get irritable, you won't be able to sleep properly, you don't be able to eat properly, and your system, it affects your entire system, right, your physiology or the digestive system or even the cardiovascular system can be affected by stress.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add to it?
Here, when you talk about physical, psychological and behavioral, and it is a continuum where stress started from the demands, and it may not percolate at one point, it goes like that. I will just something like stiff neck, little low backache where there is no disc problem, and little tension headache. These are all at physical level. Only people respect when it comes to the physical level. When you look at the psychological, confusion, very difficult to make decisions, and also little bit what you call indecisive nature, that is what I told you. Little loneliness, these are all emotional part of it. People may not respect much about it, though these are all valid symptoms. When it comes to the behavioral level, there is a difference between sign and symptom. This physical and psychological, these two are symptoms, unless they spell out, we can't make it. And behavioral, basically these are all signs you can make out. A little bit what you call strained communication with others, and withdrawal, social withdrawal, going late to the work. These are all behavioral signs, that is you call it as basically all these things we use one word, that is distress, means where the stress is not managed properly. You can find some signs and symptoms like warning signals that things are not really intact, where they demand some coping mechanism. Here we can use that behavioral signs are nothing but a coping mechanism. This is all about signs and symptoms of this particular physical, psychological and behavioral. Yeah.
So, now that we know how to identify stress with the symptoms, so what could be the coping mechanisms? There are so many, like stress differs from individual to individual. So, a situation which is stressful to me may not be stressful to other person, because it all depends on my perception, my attitude, my attributional style and my thinking style. So, there are several types of stress techniques. Which one do you suggest to our viewers?
Okay. Now, like you rightly pointed out, there will be individual differences in coping. I personally feel stress, like beauty, lies in the eyes of the beholder. Right now, so if you really want to understand coping with stress, you need to realize that we are talking about living with stress. So, you have to learn how to be able to manage it and keep it at a level that it does not affect your functioning, right. There are two things which happen when you are under stress. You can either concentrate upon the emotions which you are going to go through when you have stress, either anxiety or fear or depression. So, you can attempt to work on these emotions. Second is, you know what is causing the stress, and you work on how you will be able to reduce that or remove it. So, the first one is emotion focused coping, the second is problem focused coping. So, if you are able to work on these two, right, very often we try the first one, It does not work out, we go for the second one, and you should be able to use both of them in order to be very, very effective and develop a management strategy. Coping is learning how to live with it, management trying to you work on it, so that it becomes more proactive and you will be able to be ready to face stress in future.
Professor Uday Kumar Reddy, do you have anything to add to it?
Sure. When this particular coping strategy, I would like to quote two things. One is stress management is different, problem solving is different. Most of the this is basically a white collar job problem. People are thinking that stress is basically the people who are dealing with more with deadlines, work deadlines, they have more stress, because we are in between devil and deep sea. Devil is the work, deep sea is the time, because we can't cope up that work within the given time. Here what happened, basically all educated, basically they are rational. They always find cause for their problem. They always think that unless they eliminate the problem, they cannot manage the stress. But most of the times, problems are not in our hands. It is really complex in nature. Stress management, not only problem solving, reducing the reaction, the effects on that is also stress management. Rightly our Professor Madhu told, one is response oriented coping. People are missing that. They always trying to solve the problems in the name of problem oriented coping, which is not in their hands. They think that they have to suffer like that. But without solving the problems also, stress management is always possible. There is no doubt in it. But one more point I would like to add. If you talk about the management, you think about the measurement. Without measurement, there is no management. Whichever is not amenable for measurement, we cannot go for effective management. That is why it is the need of the hour to think about where to measure, what to measure. Stress basically, as it started at demands level, we respect to the extent of dysfunction or a disease. Okay, the moment disease started, a physician, a surgeon is the right person to decide the protocol. But stress management is basically self-management. If they want to go for self-management, they must have little more clarity about that the measurement aspects. For example, demands they can measure the mindset, they can measure their emotional traits, they can measure their neural balance, that is very, very important, and also they can measure their physical condition. Wherever there is a sensitive, wherever there is a weak link, like it is very simple thing, stress is like a load. When you put that load to a chain, it will take that load for some time. If you put more load, it will get break. Where will it get break? Wherever there is a weak link. In the whole system, total body is not equally strong. There people, they have some kind of behavioral limitations, they have mindset problems, they have physical conditional problems. We have to see where the exact the sensitivity is there. After measuring that, you have to plug that particular situation. That is why I told you, when you look into the stress totally come out in the name of physical, psychological and behavioral. You can find the symptoms not equally in all levels,
Right.
because some people are more prone psychological, some people are more prone behavioral, some people are more prone physical. So, there is a clue. Once you know the sensitivity, by looking at it, then you can initiate our coping process.
And there are many stress intervention techniques. So, can we name, so like we have body mind techniques, we have mind body techniques, and we have cognitive behavioral therapies. So, can we have a little discussion, a brief discussion on it?
Yeah. First of all, when you are talking about management of stress, you need to realize that the person has to first identify what are the stressors. as Dr. Uday Kumar has pointed out, is it something outside or is it something within me? So, you have a journaling or you do some sort of a stress auditing. So, you would know what is causing the stress. If you know what is causing the stress, then you would be able to know how to work on it. Second is, you have to see what kind of resources you have, either resources within you in terms of your mental capabilities, in terms of your health, in terms of your attitudes, and with resources outside in terms of social support. Third, you should be able to see whether you, very often when it comes to stress management, there are two things which you need to do. One is evaluate your existing strategies which you are using, see whether they are ineffective, or you have to learn a new strategy which might involve a change in your lifestyle. So, if you are able to work on these two and make it a part of your lifestyle, make it a part of your personality, then that could be a very, very effective way of managing stress. Please remember, you have to manage the stress. So far, we may not have any mechanism which will inoculate you from stress, but it will help you to be ready for stressful events in future or even manage those which have happened in the past.
Professor Uday Kumar Reddy, anything to add?
This regarding this management, when you look at that management, and I can put it, there are 6 stages to best of my knowledge. At a physical level, one should develop the ability to tolerate the stress, that is very important. And to my mind, 70% of the whole world population learn to tolerate the stress, because they are poor, they are working physically. Those who have worked physically, their physical system is strong enough that will protect from stress and prevent dysfunction diseases. You can use the word stress tolerance, because stress may come, but there are 2 people are working in the daytime, and one fellow get tired by evening and another fellow is still agile and active. It means their tolerance level is good in condition. Second thing is stress response reduction. I think stress comes and people they feel the same response for 1 hour. Some people they come back to normalcy within 2 minutes, and how their capacity to bring back to the normalcy in the name of stress response reduction. The second thing. Third thing is stress ventilation. That's what Professor Madhu told. Because once they have that their emotional ventilation, when they are in anger or anxiety or depression, they must learn the coping mechanism, how to address this stress ventilation. And very crucial thing, that's from the beginning, Professor Madhu is keep telling one thing, the stress is in the eyes of the beholder. That's very, very important, because that's very crucial. People are with stress modification, even the problem is there, I can take it as an opportunity, but some people they may take it as a threat, totally scenario changes. So, that is a crucial point, and these are all the stress modification. There is one thing, stress prevention itself. If you know how to plan well, if I develop good communication, if I know how my interpersonal relations are intact, so probably I can prevent the stress. And there is one thing that is we are missing, but we had it in our society, values and ethics. In social situation, those who inoculate it with the values and ethics, probably rest of the things can take care. But which is very difficult at this age and stage, but we had that. And coming to this very important thing, when you go for this particular stress tolerance, because I am very keen about it, and I keep promoting all white collar job people, because all this because people even today also stress is the problem of the executives basically, though it is there with the poor people, but their coping mechanism is different. But here white collar job people, their basic problem today is they are not properly developing a strategy, and they are not equipping with proper techniques. And one thing finally I wanted to communicate in the name of stress management techniques. Stress management is not a knowledge oriented subject, it is skill oriented subject like cycling. even though you learn, you attend so many programs, you read so many books, come across so many incidents, but it is very, very difficult to manage stress in that particular situation. Why? Because it is techniques are required. The techniques must be learned thoroughly. It need to be practiced sufficiently, and also it should be put it in use appropriately.
Right.
Then only you can, I think. Please.
Yeah.
So, you have
Yeah.
anything to add to it?
Simple techniques. It might be useful for our students and also for other people. Is that when you know what is causing you stress, one of the best and the easiest thing to do is to avoid, but it's not always possible, right? Second is, if you're aware of what is causing you stress, you should be able to anticipate it. You should be able to be prepared for it.
Right.
So, in terms of your thinking, if you can be able to identify whether your stress is real, imaginary, whether it can be avoided, whether it can be anticipated, and whether you can plan for it, you are doing a lot of cognitive preparedness. Secondly, as you know that stress affects your entire body. So, you like the saying, the healthy mind rests in a healthy body, you have to work on your health. Any of the physical techniques, in terms of exercise, in terms of aerobics, in terms of yoga, they can be very, very effective, because they help you to focus on your body, and they help you to keep in a state which is ready to put up with any demand which you are going to encounter.
This reminds me of what Epictetus said. He said the people are not disturbed by the facts, but by their perception of facts. So, it goes very well with what you said. Like one more thing, what the research shows is, we have too many irrationalities. So, one of the main causes of development of stress is because of our irrational attitude. So, this cognitive restructuring will definitely help us in supplementing all the irrationalities with the rational statements. So, can you please throw some light on it?
They have a separate school of therapy, rational emotive therapy, especially when people start believing, for instance, that they want to be perfect and they expect everybody to be perfect. Right? They can't perceive that somebody can make a small mistake, right? So, this is something which can be rational. Okay, now, if this person is made to change the way in which he is thinking, now we have a mechanism by which you can unfreeze certain irrational beliefs and then strengthen them with strong positive rational beliefs, and then make them a part of his or her personality. You might have some very rigid ideas which need to be melted, which need to be restructured, and if that attitude or if that rational thought is repeated continuously by that individual and he is reinforced, it becomes a part of his personality, and then he can become more realistic in nature.
This usually goes with disputing, because people have too many shoulds and musts. So, these shoulds and musts should be disputed first, and in place of this shoulds and must, we should keep on adding preferences, isn't it, Professor?
Yes. Yeah. So, that something will be realistic in
instead of saying I should be like this, I must be like this, we can as well replace it by saying I prefer to be like this, I will be happy if things go in this way, isn't it? So, Professor Uday Kumar Reddy, do you have anything to add to it?
One thing is there is a great concept, that is a diet today, and okay, most of the stressors, unless you accept it, it cannot become a stress, but the diet is one thing, you enjoy it, then you feel stress within, and that because we are not going to say that this you should eat, this you should not eat. It means diet management is a very difficult component, and also to my mind diet is very personal, and also you cannot prescribe because it is seasonal, regional, and also traditional also. Then what to do? Moderation in diet is very important to manage stress, because here diet is very, very important, because I am giving a framework like a quantity wise, quality wise, frequency wise. if people realize these 3 words, there is a quantity, if they exceed the quantity that adds stress. There are certain quality of foods, if they didn't take care of that foods, like stress prone diet is also there, more coffee, more tea, and that adds something. And also there are certain diets, because where it is a simple sugars, it add more stress. And the best prescriptions should be, and they should stick to their traditional diet, and also they should put some kind of control over their fat. That is very, very important. And coming to the frequency, today it is very, very important, one must know, evening time restlessness is more. The reason would be, we habituate to eat 3 times a day. Breakfast is certain, diet is common, and dinner is okay. But in between lunch and dinner, evening snacks really protect us from that restlessness, because it will not allow you to be more prone to stress situation. This is one thing I wanted to communicate. And there is one more important thing today. Relaxation is one important component. One can put it in use. Here, I'll come back to the strategy. Strategy, when you go for the strategy, as problem started with the demands, it goes slowly through mind and nervous system to the body. People always very much clear about the demands. They wanted to address the demands, which are really difficult. When there is a winter, the best way is wear the sweater. Don't try to change the winter. It is a season, big in nature. And the best way is try to start from physical quotient. Here the word quotient is nothing but the measurement. We have to improve the physical level. As Professor Madhu told, that aerobics, there is no other way. There is no shortcut. One has to move. Otherwise, it is something like earthing the system.
I think, Professor, there is somebody is waiting on the phone. Hello.
Madam.
Yes, please. What's the question? Please speak on.
Okay, madam. Because evening time.
Yes.
Hello. We
Yes.
used to take food, na?
Pardon?
Which is the food is preferable for us?
Okay, okay. Which is the food which is suitable? That is
Yes, madam.
stress-free food, which just
Yes,
now
madam.
Professor Uday Kumar Reddy was speaking about.
Yes.
Okay. So I request Uday Kumar Reddy to please answer his question.
So it is, you are putting me in stress, basically. I don't know what you prefer, and there is nobody wanted to eat something like. But remember one thing. Already I told you, whatever that is prepared at home front, that is the best food. Point number 1. And the second thing is, you think about quantity. The quantity generally we tend to eat more whenever there is a special dish, and that oscillation is much more. That quantity wise, you should have little control over the rice. That is a simple thing. And all great people, if you look at it, they will not just increase their carbohydrates because the dishes are really delicious.
There is,
And,
I think, somebody else is
quantity.
waiting for the phone.
Right.
Hello. Hello.
Hello. The stress will affect on a mental growth and physical growth at the age of 7th, 11th, 12th standard.
Right.
So that I want to clarify.
Will you please repeat the question?
Will it affect on any kidneys and anything on?
Will you please repeat the question?
See, the growing children, the
Growing
11th standard, 12th standard, the
Okay.
stress will impact on the mental growth, physical growth, will affect on the mental growth, physical growth, stress of the education study and all.
Okay, what his question is whether stress will influence, will affect especially school going children of 10th or 11th class, and he speaks about the physiological aspects, whether it affects the kidneys or other systems. That's his question. Professor Madhu?
Yeah, one thing we have to realize is that stress does affect people, and at that age, when they are in the 10th and 11th standards, most students will be in their adolescence, and they will experience a severe amount of stress, and where they need a lot of support and they are searching for an identity, they have to decide on a career, and here where there is necessity of the parents and also the teachers to be aware of what changes take place in children, more than the physiology, because that can be something which is beyond your control. So, you should be able to see whether it is affecting their emotions or whether it is affecting the way they are reacting to situations. If this is being some way it is affecting the child, I think it is very important that necessary intervention be taken.
I think there is somebody else who is ring up.
I
Hello.
want to study this stress management course, sir.
Hello.
I want to study this stress management course, madam.
You want to study the stress management course. That's wonderful.
Wonderful, madam. Why? Because in daily we are getting so many problems, madam.
Right.
So to overcome all these problems,
Okay.
I need this program, this course, madam.
Yeah, that's a wonderful thing. Like your idea is very good. I didn't get your name. May I know your name?
D. Ramesh, madam.
D.
Ramesh.
D. Parmesh, you have a very good idea. So you want to cope up with stress, and so in order to cope up with stress, you want to learn stress management courses. So there are some universities which are offering. If I am not mistaken, Tamil Nadu University gives about stress management courses, and our Professor Madhu is here. He will tell whether Andhra University is also offering any such courses in stress management.
Oh, we do not offer courses, but we conduct workshops. We conduct workshops where people can attend, which are targeted towards specific groups. It could be students, it could be employees, or it could be housewives, right. So, no certificate or course is offered by Andhra University.
Okay, since you want to cope up with stress and you want to manage with stress, you can as well attend these workshops. So, I think frequently there will be in some university or the other, wherever there is a department of psychology, they will be holding workshops on stress and stress management. You can attend that.
We even conduct these courses or workshops at colleges and schools also.
Right.
We conduct so that
that's wonderful.
We can reach out to more audience.
Yeah, because nowadays most of the adolescents are having too much of pressures and the stress. There are too many management courses also, like cognitive restructuring and all, which they can learn. Just now we were speaking about rational emotive behavioral therapy, wherein you bring about some changes in your cognitive aspects, like replacing more irrationalities with rationalities and disputing and all that. And apart from it, Professor Uday Kumar Reddy was speaking about I think you are speaking about relaxation. So, we have one technique called progressive muscle relaxation technique. So, wherein a group of muscles at a time will be tensed and then relaxed, and it will be tensed and relaxed. So, by doing this regularly, the body gets it becomes inbuilt in the body, wherein whenever you come across any stress, when the body is triggered, then immediately it is taken care. The physiology is so inbuilt, it will take care of the coping mechanisms. So, also the cognitive behavioral therapy, wherein you learn to have more rationalities in place of irrationalities. I think there is somebody else who is waiting on the phone.
I wanted to add small.
Hello,
input.
so somebody is waiting on the phone. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, please speak on. What's your question?
My question is about how to manage the stress.
How to manage stress? Yeah, till now we were doing that also. Yeah, we were discussing about it. Anything else?
Nothing.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
We'll quickly.
Yeah.
Quickly, I'll respond.
Yeah.
Now, if you have to manage your stress, Mahesh, now you first had to identify what is causing your stress. You have to identify what resources are available with you, and you have to see what other skills you have to learn in order to be able to manage the stress more effectively. The most fundamental thing is you have to know what is causing your stress.
And shall I add a small
sure.
thing? This is basically, if you want to manage stress, you have to have a stress audit. That is the best way to start managing stress. And stress audit is very simple, and it may take 40-45 minutes. And with the stress audit, you can find out where to manage the stress. So, there are innumerable techniques. So, we cannot use every technique.
Right. I think somebody else is again on phone. Hello. Hello.
Hello. Yeah. Good afternoon, madam.
Yes. Good afternoon.
I'd like to know any stress management centers there in our city, Hyderabad, where we
Okay.
can go and learn some techniques there to manage our stress.
It's a wonderful question because right at present we have Professor Uday Kumar Reddy,
Okay.
who himself is launching one stress management institution, and as such he is the director of one institution which is like India chapter. So I think he'll throw more light on it about stress management.
So,
course.
this is the problem. Many people, just now Professor Madhu and Madam told that there are programs that are regularly happening at university level, some institutional level. And here, to address this particular problem, there is no exclusive institute that is really working for this stress management. And there is one International Stress Management Association, where I am really working for that, brought out a concept that is called stress management lab. These stress management labs are already available at Hyderabad, and one is at Kundan Bagh, second one is at Eramanjal Colony in Hyderabad I am talking, and the third one is at Srinagar Colony. There multidiscipline team is working to address this stress management, and not only at giving knowledge, it will address the entire problem. It will start with object assessment in the name of stress audit, then it will give a structured protocols, then it will come out with a smart prescription, because everybody need not practice all the techniques based on the requirement. And lastly, in that particular stress management lab, there is a scope for lifetime follow up.
Professor, somebody is on the phone.
Yeah.
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah?
Hello.
Yeah, what's your question?
madam.
Namaste.
నేను M.Sc సైకాలజీ సెకండ్ ఇయర్ చేస్తున్నాను మేడం అంబేద్కర్
Okay, that's wonderful.
క్లినికల్ సైకాలజీ చేయాలనుకుంటున్నాను మేడం
Right?
అది ఏ కాలేజీలో ఆఫర్ చేస్తున్నాయి, దానికి ఎలా ప్రిపేర్ అవ్వాలి కాస్త డీటెయిల్స్ చెప్తాను.
Okay, our professors are here. They'll tell you what are the colleges which are offering clinical psychology programs, courses. Short term or long term? Which one do you prefer?
షార్ట్ టర్మ్ ఆర్ లాంగ్ టర్మ్ వాట్ ఎవర్ మేడం.
Okay, whichever is available.
ఎలిజిబుల్ కాదా? అంటే
Okay.
డిస్టెన్స్ లో చేసిన వాళ్ళు.
Okay, about clinical psychology, they want to know whether any university is offering.
Now, as far as Andhra University is concerned, we do not have a separate program in clinical psychology. We have in our regular or distance mode psychology, especially in distance mode, we offer one paper in clinical psychology.
Okay, in distance mode, there is one paper in clinical psychology. As you have under Ambedkar Open University, we have health management and counseling and all. So, similarly, is it an option or a core paper?
It is a core paper.
It is a core paper. So, you can go for it. I think somebody else is on the phone. Hello?
Sir, in adolescent about 30 to 40 years. Hello?
Yes, yes, I am hearing.
Yeah, in adolescent about 30 to 40 years, overstress will affect any kidneys and health problems, madam.
Yeah, I think they just now somebody else had asked this question. Adolescence period is between 11 to 18 years. So,
No,
you were
in
referring
general
about
case, 30 years above, madam,
30 years
above
above.
40 years.
Okay,
Overstress will it lead to effect on kidneys and all?
Let me answer that. Now, let me first clarify that Mr. Srinivas Reddy, that first of all, even before you like to know whether it is the effect of stress or not, you need to get a medical opinion whether there is any organic problem.
Okay.
Now, once that is ruled out, then you can go to some okay, fine. Now, then you should be able to see the kind of lifestyle you are going through or any phases in your life which is likely to cause a lot of stress, and then you will be able to identify. But overall, having said that, I should be able to even emphasize that stress does affect your body. It can affect various systems in the body, and eventually it may and may not affect the kidney, but you should be ready enough to see if it is due to stress, what kind of precautions you need to take to see that it does not damage further.
And one more thing, like I would like to add here, the studies show that stress does affect the pumping system. So, it may lead into cardiovascular diseases, and the studies also show that it leads into osteoporosis also. The bones become very feeble
Yeah.
and rigid and all. So, the studies show
So-
that. I think somebody else is on the phone. Hello? Hello?
Hello,
Yeah, please speak on.
this is Priyanka.
Right?
Actually, I have a lot of problems in my studies. Stress.
Okay. Okay.
Can you suggest me? I'm having stress in studies and I'm having stress in. Actually, I'm not able to decide the field I have to take.
So, like one thing Priyanka, you should be very clear. Are you having problem in the college or at the home? Is it because of high expectation of your parents, or is it because too many challenges in the academic environment? What exactly you want?
Actually, it's too many challenges.
Right?
Okay. I'm not able to decide what I have to take.
Okay, like no, what type of challenges? Can you just spell out one or two?
Sorry.
Can you just spell out one or two? Can you give some incidents, like
No,
what
kind
are
of,
the stresses?
It's like I wanted to take IIT, but I'm getting stressed out. I have lost my confidence that I can do in IIT.
Okay, here we have excellent professors. They'll definitely help you out. Professor Madhu, like she want to take IIT, but she's unable to cope up with it. So AAA, I think that's what she was saying.
Priyanka,
Yes.
first you need to understand what your priorities are.
Okay.
Secondly, you have to see, after you shortlist your priorities,
Okay.
you have to see whether you have the resources to meet those challenges, either internal or external or social in nature.
Okay.
You need to check with people who know you. It could be your parents, it could be your family members, it could be your teachers, who is a way of getting some feedback of whether you are thinking correct or differently. Once you shortlist them, once you know the resources, then the matter of whether you like to do it. It's your interests, it's your aptitude which comes into picture now, and then you will be able to make a decision.
Okay, thank you.
So it's wonderful, Priyanka. I think you got the answer for it. There is somebody else on the phone call. Hello.
Hello. Yeah, madam. Dr. Uday Kumar was telling about some stress management lab.
Right.
And I'd like to know any pass on the telephone number to us so that we can contact to attend the program.
Okay. Okay. Professor Uday Kumar Reddy is here to give the numbers.
I know one number that you can make use, you can contact them. That
Okay.
is 9701
9701
736
736
007.
007.
So it belongs to ISMA and they may guide you better.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Okay.
Right. There is another person. I think we have to, time is up. We can cut short there. So to conclude, can we just have one more question?
Yeah.
One is, people think that stress is always bad. But I think, there is something called eustress. It is not always distress. There is something called eustress, which is very essential for us to achieve our targets. So will you please throw some more light on it?
Like
Especially this will be helpful for the students.
Now, when you talk of stress and its effect on performance, you have to understand that too much stress reduces and affects your performance badly. Having too little stress or having too little pressure is also not motivating. So, some amount of stress they found is good or is essential, and that level which is for an individual, again it varies.
Right. How much
Right?
you can take
How much you can take it. So, you are the best judge. If you find any of your changes in your thinking, in your feelings, in your behavior are affected, then you would know that this is a level of stress which is too much for you.
Right.
But all stress, like you said, is not bad. Some amount of stress is good, it motivates you.
And it is very essential.
It is essential.
So, yes, stress is not always bad, it is very essential, and I think Uday Kumar Reddy has something else to add to it.
Professor Madhu told, but here one classical example, to prepare for any studies, generally children they like games, they do not like studies. We inculcate stress to them, they prepare for the studies only
Before examination.
because of stress.
Right.
But the same fellow, when you get into the examination hall, if they are confused with one or two questions
Right.
because of stress,
Because of stress.
they do something wrong in
Feels
that.
very blank. He
So,
feels that,
to prepare, the stress helped him,
Right.
and while performing, the same stress
Right.
spoiled his performance.
Right.
And one more thing in your actually caption itself, it is stress management,
Stress
not stress prevention.
No, no, it's management.
If it is a stress management, it has to be optimized.
Right.
So, the word is optimization. It is individual headache. Whether we are at optimum stress or not, how do we know? Only one thing is, without distress, our stress is optimized. Either underload is also causing distress or overload is also causing distress. If stress is optimized, you are enjoying the life. You are retaining and maintaining the well-being.
Like people think that only nowadays people are under stress, but no, what I feel is stress was there some 100 years back, 50 years back, only our perceptions are changing, our lifestyles are changing. Do you have anything to add to it, Professor Madhu? Quickly, I think we are running short of time.
I think stress was there right from the time mankind was there.
That's
right?
wonderful.
It will be
Right
there.
answer.
It will be there thousands of years from now onwards.
Again ahead.
It's only, it's a way we think what can be stressors and what kind of importance we attach to events or situations. They can be sources of stress. It will always be there.
So, thank you professors, thank you Professor Madhu, thank you Professor Uday Kumar Reddy.
It's my pleasure.
For really giving your precious time, and you are here. And viewers, sometimes it so happens we feel that it is because of environment or it is because of other people that we are under stress, but no, sometimes it could be because stress is self generated. The way you perceive at a situation, the way you think about a situation, your attributions to a situation, they all will make stress too, what to say, like it is too intensified. So, it can exacerbate stress to a very, very long effect. Okay. So, here we had in our studios two professors. I thank you professors for spending your valuable time with us, and I am very sure and I am definite, since we got phone calls from so many people and they are all worried about stress, and you have got a very good idea about the stress and intervention techniques, how to manage and how to prevent and how to cope with stress, and hope you will start practicing them. And slowly, it is not any mantra like you switch on the button and stress just flies away, but you have to keep practicing and imbibe it into your personality. It should be inbuilt, so you are ready for any type of situation. So, good day to all the viewers. Thank you once again.